It's Thursday, March 10th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Everyone, it's show number 654. I'm here in Honolulu. It's absolutely beautiful. And I tell you, I got a great show lined up for you. Strap in, because here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Oahu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, and I want to encourage you to visit geeknewscentral.com for all the great tech content. Of course, you want to check out our archive podcast, this show and others, available via the podcast link on the website. Of course, all 654 episodes, plus the morning show, plus our special media feed, well over 1,500 pieces of media for you to consume. Of course, I wouldn't recommend that you go all the way back to 2004, but it's there if you want to listen. Everyone, of course, all of you longtime listeners of the show, those of you that are part of the Ohana, thanks for being part of the family. Of course, living here in Hawaii, Ohana means family, and truly, I really want to welcome all of you that are longtime subscribers, longtime listeners and viewers. And if you're new to the show, don't worry. Becoming a part of the Ohana is automatic. You're here and you're part of the family, and welcome to the show. Hey, of course, I want to make sure that you get subscribed, and really that way you'll guarantee that you'll never miss a single episode of the show. If you go over to the website at geeknewscentral.com, which I'll bring up here on the board for you, you'll notice that in the second column of the website, there is a subscribe orange and white box. And basically, there's an RSS feed there, Zune Marketplace, iTunes, and, of course, links to all the individual podcast feeds. So if you want to check those out, you can do that and get subscribed. At the top of the website, there is a section that says newsletter. The newsletter, get signed up for that. That'll guarantee that you get the show notes for the show. Basically, the show notes are everything that I'm going to talk about during the podcast today. You're going to get all the links, all the information, all the inside information for the show. So make sure you get signed up for the newsletter. That's my way to email blast you to remind you, number one, that the show's been put out, which, of course, I record the show every Monday and Thursday night. It's released every Tuesday and Friday mornings from here in Honolulu or wherever I may be traveling to within essentially the whole world, because the show's basically recorded this thing from all over the country and even some foreign countries. So anyway, that's the most important things. Get subscribed to the RSS feed, or get subscribed via iTunes, and of course sign up for the newsletter. That helps us out, and definitely make sure that you don't miss a single episode. Hey, you can also watch us on the Tech Podcast channel on the Roku or on the Boxy, and lots of great content from those networks, or from the Tech Podcast Network, of course, there as well. So if you don't have a Roku or a Boxy, definitely think about picking one up. Of course, you can win a Roku here on the show right now. On the next show, we're going to give away a Roku. I'll talk about how you can win a Roku here in a few minutes. We're streaming live right now on Justin.tv and also on Ustream. For those of you that are watching on either of those locations, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for staying up late tonight and watching the show. It's, I get started here about 8 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time, which up until this weekend will be, let's see here. On Sunday, you guys move your clocks ahead. For those of you that are in the lower 48, you guys are going to be able to get ahead on me 1 hour. And we don't change the clocks here in Hawaii at all. So the main thing is it kind of sucks for me, because I've got you guys within a 5-hour time span. Now we're going to go to 6. So that means when I wake up at 5 a.m., that means it's already 11 a.m. on the East Coast. And I usually have about an hour to kind of get moving around, get some, get some water in me, get woke up before I start making phone calls at 6 in the morning. But now I'm going to be calling into people's lunch hour which is no fun. So really business for me won't get started until the afternoon time frame on the West Coast. So that's kind of the story and what's going on around here for clock changes. But hey, if you want to watch live, you can. Just remember, I start here at 8 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. Of course, if you have comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is always open, 619-342-7365. Pick up the phone or Skype in to 619-342-7365. I want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at the show. GoDaddy.com, the absolute best place to pick up a domain name, to pick up a hosting account, pick up a shared hosting account. And I tell you what, I had really oh boy, I just got a text that came in on chat that Japan just had a 7.9 earthquake. And thanks, DJ, for telling me that. That obviously sends chills down my spine at this very moment. Let me, matter of fact, I'll know my wife's from Japan. Let me stick my head out the door here and tell her. Show 7.9 earthquake in Japan. So that's as live as it gets. Let me go ahead and talk about the sponsor before we get done here. So anyway, GoDaddy.com, great place to pick up a domain name, dedicated server, virtual dedicated server, shared hosting account, whatever it may be. And you guys know that I've had a number of servers on GoDaddy for a while, and what I tried to do this week is I wanted to check out their regular hosting plans, their regular standard shared hosting accounts, and I went and picked up one of their hosting accounts and set it up. And I've been experimenting with it, haven't been using one of their services before. Holy cow, have they come a long way on their web hosting plans. Easy peasy to set up. I was really surprised. It's come a long way in what they in what is possible. So if you're thinking about a hosting account, GoDaddy's a place to go. It really is. And don't forget, when you get over there and you get to the checkout counter, use my promo code. Geek5 will save you 15% on orders $20 or more. Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. I got the codes Aloha, ComSale, whole host of codes which you can use, and you can find all of them at geeknewscentral.com /GoDaddy. Watching the chat here, they had a 6-meter tsunami, and it hit. It's expected to hit the Sendai area. That's around 18 feet. So, wow, this is crazy stuff. Here, recording the show, and of course, they had a 7.1 the other day. Now that means if they've had that big of a tsunami in Sendai, more than likelihood Honolulu will become under a tsunami watch. And if that turns out to be the case, then things are going to get crazy here in 5 or 6 hours. It depends on how fast this thing is moving. But this is not normally something I talk about live on the show. But let me bring up. Tsunami warning issued. Boy, oh boy, it was in northern Japan too. So is this going to affect us here in Hawaii? Wow. Yeah, very well could. So this is anyway, big one. This is northern Japan where this happened. Okay, so I've gotten off track here. Let's get back to the show. Nothing like live news being broke on a show that you're going to listen to later, where it's going to be, from the majority of you, old news. But let's keep moving. So we can get into the tech. Hey, as I said, I was going to have a contest. And, of course, we got a contest going right now. If you want to show support for the show, all you got to do is either already be an insider, contribute to a one-time donation via the insider page, or become an insider, a new insider, and you'll be put in the running to win a Roku, which we'll give away in the next show. We're going to give you the top-of-the-line Roku. That way you can watch the show and many others via your big screen TV in your home. So you can find information out at geeknewscentral.com /insider. Hey, we've had 2 new bloggers added to the Geek News Central website. I want to welcome those 2 for coming up. We've got Matt, and oh boy, I'm pulling a brain fart here. He started last week. Oh man, if he's watching, he's going to be like, you forgot my name, dude. What's up with that? Too excited about the tsunami, that's for sure. But anyway, we've added two new bloggers to the website, and I'm excited to have both of them on board and contributing content for us. It's definitely exciting to have some additional writers on. Matt, I've known for a long time, and he writes for some other sites as well. So we'll look forward to seeing his content up at GNC. Along with that, I want to talk. We talked a little bit about Charlie Sheen on the last show, and I got an article to share with you later on. And the reason I'm kind of fascinated by what he's doing media-wise right now is just kind of what's happening with trends and how he's, even though he's got his issues on how he's able to get sponsors and so forth. But I had to laugh, and I was talking about my wife about it, and I said he's using this term called winning, and it seems to be this meme that is went all over the place. So my kids today are like, winning, winning, Dad, we're winning, and I'm like, oh no, what have I unleashed? And so it's just a thing. it really, it really is. A big day tomorrow for my daughter. Here in Hawaii, it's already prom time. She is a freshman and has been asked to go to the prom, and it's a neighbor boy that we know, family friend. He's a nice kid, and basically they're going to be under the very watchful eye traveling to and back from the prom. There's going to be no evening parties afterwards. But it's a typical mom and dad thing that, proms are pretty notorious for all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So we've got them both briefed, and I've had the young man here at the house and talked to him a little bit. So tomorrow, it's all about getting the hair done. See, schools are out for spring break here, started today. And so he's going to get the hair done and all this stuff. And mom's as excited as the daughter is. I'm just trying to stay hid from the group. But I do want to share one thing. I shared this with my tech podcast audience, and I know we've got a number of podcasters that listen to the show, and this is really off topic from the tech. But earlier this year, actually in late 2010, I was introduced to, and please, first of all, I don't claim to be a financial advisor at all. Take for what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm not, as a disclaimer, I'll probably get the terms wrong. A long story short, do your own due diligence on this, but I'll just tell you quickly here what transpired. Many of you that work for a business, you will have a 401k plan with your company, and you'll contribute to your 401k, and then the company will do some sort of matching type of funds, whether it be 3, 4, 5, 6%, up to a certain amount. And of course, there's limitations on how much you can contribute, usually to a 401k if it's tied to an IRA or something. But what we found out, of course, I'm a sole proprietor. Actually, this Geek News Central and Podcast Connect all run under an S corp. So it's actually a business entity, and I write myself a paycheck and pay my withholding and all the other stuff that goes on with being in business for yourself. So I got introduced to a main. I'm not even going to name the company, just so we don't people don't think I'm pumping a company, because what's more important is just the information. So again, this is for primarily for podcasters that are doing this as a business. I asked him, as a small business owner, where there's really only two people getting a check, my wife and I are getting a paycheck. I asked what would be the potential of being able to set up our own 401k as a business. And I was just kind of a long shot, and he basically said, oh yeah, there's some funds out there that can do that. And basically what he set me up was a fund through Oppenheimer. And long story short, you guys know that I was complaining about my business taxes, and we had gotten our personal stuff in, and basically I sat down with the CPA on Monday and went through everything, and I was dreading having to write a pretty big check. But by the time we got all done and the stuff I implemented with Oppenheimer, the tax situation got much better from a payment standpoint, because the S corp that the Geek News Central runs under, everything that's a profit for the business comes on back onto my wife's and I income. So long story short here is that we're able to, by setting up our own 401k, by even just being a real tiny little business, and this fund, this was a K1 fund from Oppenheimer, we were able to really help our tax liability, and at the same point do some good and make some contributions that going to add to the bottom line later on. And so any of you that are self-employed, you may have already knew about this. I had not, and I got into this year and got some help, and it really did help. So if any of you have a small business, hey, that financial advice works out really well. It really does. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, do your own due diligence on that, but pretty exciting stuff, pretty cool. And I'm really tickled. I really, really am. Okay, let's PowerPress, our podcast plugin, is doing great, man, gangbusters. A few minor bugs here or there. I think Angela's going to do an update tomorrow on it to fix the bugs that are outstanding. But we should I mean, it's great so far. The response has been fantastic. There will be no Saturday show. There will be no morning show this coming Saturday, specifically because I promised my 7-year-old that I'm going to go to his basketball game. He's got a 9 a.m. basketball game. There's no way I can start the show at 7 here, be done, and get to the basketball game. So there will be no Saturday show. I may do something on Sunday with someone. It all depends on what the schedule is here. But appreciate you guys understanding for no Saturday show. And we'll just be back on schedule the following week. All right. Before we get into the tech content here, and we need to get into that because I'm already running long. Don't forget Audible. If you're looking to get a free book on me, you can do so by going to audiblepodcast.com/CES. And I picked up the book Iwas. Man, really good. I'm really enjoying it. Thanks for the recommendation there, Tom. Fantastic choice. Was definitely a good pick for me. And it's one of these things, I've spending a lot of time taking the kids back and forth to school and, helping the wife and shuttling them around. And I'm finding myself sitting in the car, and not always can I be either working on the iPad or the laptop when I'm, parked someplace. And so I'm listening to some of these Audible books, and it's really cool. It's a great way to kind of fill your brain with good stuff. And if nothing else, or even relaxing stuff. But audiblepodcast.com/CES. Get a free book on me. It's a great deal. Can't beat it. And try it. Just go ahead and try it. You put it into any of your devices, your Android, your BlackBerry, your iPhone, your iPad, and consume them whatever way you want, or you just online. So definitely check them out. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the regular tech stuff here again. And all of our offers, of course, are at geeknewscentral.com/offers. And let me bring up the stack of stuff here I've got. How many of you are familiar with Drupal? Drupal, and I had played with Drupal for a while, and I think, matter of fact, the first techpodcast.com website, I believe, ran on the predecessor to Drupal. And I'll be honest with you, I hated it. It was the hardest content management system to edit. It just did not. They worked on these, everything was a taxonomy. I hated it. I really did. And it took 3 years for them to open source Drupal 7. And now they're going to try to increase the release time by going to this shorter release type of a schedule, just like they're doing over at Mozilla. They're saying that at no point in time will there be more than 15 critical bugs. He says, I'm not going to pull in a big change. If we know there are known bugs, it gives us the ability to do a timely release, because we know at most the release is only 15 critical bugs away from being ready. So we'll see. We'll see what this happens. With this kind of development schedule, the way they work this with a lot of people contributing code, there's a lot of moving pieces there, and keeping the bug count down is hard. I know some of you probably are Drupal fans. I know they have Drupal conferences. I know Andy McCaskey over SDR News is a big Drupal fan as well. But hopefully you won't have to wait 3 years for the next big major update, because it looks like they're going to go to this much quicker, release style. Steve Jobs always loves to poke barbs at different vendors and so forth. Apple does a lot of business with Samsung. And of course, Samsung is trying to compete with the iPad as well. And his latest whipping boy is Samsung. And it's kind of surprising, because he buys a lot of parts from them. They compete against him, but at the same time, he made fun of them, really. And, basically calling the year 2011 the year of the copycats. And it surprises me that he does this, but I guess it's part of that persona he has of, take no prisoners and really doesn't care what people think. And I guess, money over words, right? When they want his money, I guess they're going to have to suck it up and take in his words. But do you guys think Apple has just gotten a little bit too big for their britches? And how many of you are going out and buying the iPad 2 tomorrow? And if you do, and I want to hear about it once you pick it up, let me know what you think about it. Give me the full rundown. I'm not buying the iPad 2. I'm going to wait for the next version. If I purchased another iPad right now, I would get crucified by my lovely wife. She monitors the expenditures. So and plus, I can't quite pass the new one off because she would say, yours is different than mine. What did you get? Let me see that. And next thing you know, she would have it. So we'll have to upgrade two at the same time, but we're going to wait to the iPad 3, which probably is another year away or maybe later this fall. But how many are making the jump? And if you are, did you sell your old iPad and how much did you get for it? geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. Hey, one thing that I kind of laughed tonight because this article came up, and let me show you this is over on ours, and it basically says why Mac's throttling lawsuit, Clearwire can't deliver the goods, and it's got this big boot, and it's a picture stomping on. It looks like a city, but long story short, 15 users have sued Clearwire for throttling. And Clear has basically been very public about saying that when peak times, they will throttle a connection. Now, let me tell you a little secret here. I did an experiment when I came back from CES. My DSL connection, which normally runs the Ohana source back here, was on the blink. I was having problems with it. We couldn't maintain a good connection. And I had quite literally 70 gigabytes of media to upload. And I didn't want to have to tie up my cable connection to do that, right? So I looked at my Clearwire connection, which I have back here, and I said, okay, let me run a LAN cable instead of putting it on Wi-Fi. And I was using my Mac to do the uploads. Matter of fact, my Mac Pro to do the uploads. It was just sitting there hammering away. Every time a file out would come out of compressor, it would just drop it in the folder, and the FTP system would automatically push it up. But that connection ran steady for, I think, 10 days. I uploaded, maybe 7 days. I uploaded continuously. About 7 days because when that trip to Chicago, it was still uploading when I left. So it had already been going about 3. So about 7 days, it uploaded continuously. So I got about 10 gigs a day, I guess, uploaded. Maybe it was more than 7 days. Long story short, the connection that I have here, and right now I'm watching the downstream on my Mac Pro, and every once in a while the video will flutter out, and I'll see it spin, and it'll start up. So it's watching the downstream from Ustream. The up connection on Clear has always been really good. I've been able to maintain 800K, sometimes maybe very close to 900K up, never a meg, but it's been very good. It's actually as good as my DSL. So, but what's been bad, and what's important to 99% of the rest of people, is the download speed. So right here we are, we got the stream running and I'm watching it, and it's buffering. About every minute it stops and it has to spin. So Clear has an issue. They definitely do. And, they're on this 4G network. It's supposed to be fast. And it really, I don't get 3 megs. I'm lucky if I get EVDO speeds like 1.5. If I did a speed test right now, I'd be lucky if I got 1.5, 1.8 down. And I have 5 bars on my Clear modem. So it just goes to show you that even though the usage is unlimited, the connection still sucks. It really does. They've got big issues. I can't wait for Verizon to bring 4G LTE to Hawaii. I'm definitely going to be probably jumping on that like a bad habit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, there's a class action lawsuit against Clear on really not being able to deliver the goods. Over on ours, again, another article that I found there tonight. There's a NASA employee who is his title is PPO, Planetary Protection Officer, and you hear that term and you're kind of like, Planetary Protection Officer. Does that mean he's in charge of what happens when ET shows up? And you just kind of wonder what's behind this guy's job. Well, what his job is basically to make sure that spacecraft going out and spacecraft coming back aren't bringing stuff to us that would kill us, and stuff that's going out will not kill other species. So I had to kind of chuckle at this a little bit, but he's the Planetary Protection Officer. He's making sure, when they when they did the first Apollo man landings, of course, they put these guys in quarantine, and they were really worried about, bringing something back from the moon that, it's rightfully so, that would, basically start some sort of catastrophic disease and kill us all. So, but they're being very careful about spacecraft and where they're ditching them when they're going into planetary visits and so forth. Cassini, which is currently orbiting Saturn, at some point will be crashed directly into Saturn. They don't want it to. They want to eliminate the possibility of it going into Enceladus. I guess that's how you pronounce that. That's one of the moons of Saturn. But there's all kinds of stuff that we brought back too. We brought back stuff from comets and so forth. I think at this point, with as many asteroids and the different things that has hit the planet, I think we're pretty safe, don't you? And space is a pretty rough environment, and I think we're all pretty bacteriaed up here. But I can see where a planetary body where they don't want to introduce something to really, well, you crash something into a planet. That's kind of introducing something, isn't it? Why not? I guess probably can't boost Cassini out of the Saturn orbit, but they'll definitely to drop it out. Got some cool stuff on Voyager too. You guys are gonna be amazed. We're gonna get to that article here in a little while. All right, you guys remember my story about my son running up a significant Apple bill by buying stuff in a game? Well, Apple today decided to change the purchase policies to protect busybody hands like my son's, to just basically stop kids from buying stuff within those games. So what they've done is, when games are playing and they try to buy something within those games, even if you've bought the app within the last 15 minutes, it's going to require a password when purchases are made within an application after it is downloaded. So this is good. This is really, really good that they're going to require a password. You guys know that my bill wasn't too bad, but other parents' has been really, really horrible. So anyway, this is a good policy change by Apple. Well, AOL today, and do you have an AOL.com domain name? Did you know that if you do, if you have an AOL.com email address, do you know that says a lot about you? There was a study that came out, and it's not about tonight's show, but there was a study that came out earlier in the week that talked about the stigma of having an AOL.com address. My advice to anyone that's, and for me, I don't care, but if you are going to work for a tech company or something of that sort, maybe it wouldn't be such a good idea to have an AOL.com domain name, because it kind of dates you like pre-internet or CD internet time frame. Let it go. Get a throwaway Gmail account and get hip. I know some of you love your specific AOL email or your Hotmail account and so forth. But anyway, that's not the crux of the story I'm referring to. Today, AOL fired 900 people cut 900 people. And this was after the $231 million purchase of Huffington Post. So I guess they had to pay for that purchase somehow. And Tim Armstrong, the CEO, announced 200 jobs within the United States, as many 700 outside of the country. And this was a lot of journalists, a lot of veteran journalists have been out of a job. Matter of fact, I tweeted today, if you are an AOL journalist out of a job, I'm hiring bloggers. And no, you don't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the post. Welcome to the new world. So, it's not, I shouldn't say it like that. We're a small business and it's not like we have full-time employees. Not that I wouldn't want to. I really wish we could. But we're just not at that size yet. We need to grow some more before we can actually put someone on staff besides my wife and I full-time. So anyway, the 900 folks are going to be losing their jobs, and this cutting was pretty significant. You feel sorry for them losing their jobs for sure, but just shows you the times are a-changing. Now, the New York Times folks, boy, oh boy, they just downright nasty. Now, let me see if I can find the actual. Do I have this linked? Of course, I don't have it linked right here. Yes, I do. I had it right next to it. What basically what a New York Times editor said today was that if you are not a traditional journalist, you're someone that is a blogger, someone that may work for the Huffington Post as a either contributing content for free or you get paid on a per post basis, that you're a pirate. Now, one thing that we do here at Geek News Central is that I ask the writers to all write original articles. Now they're going to get their ideas from a variety of different posts across the website. We always give attribution back to the main article in which we what inspired our idea on our article. Many times the articles are written not with a reference to a third-party site. They're truly original articles. But they're saying that the Huffington Post is nothing more than an aggregator. They go out and basically rewrite thousands of other websites' articles and do it on a massive scale. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Do you guys think that the Huffington Post and other sites, other blog sites, are indicative of pirating information? Now, again, we're not copying information. And many times when I write an article, I probably went and read 4 or 5 different articles and maybe formed an idea to put something together. We all do that. We look at information, and I write a lot of original stuff myself. So in this show, we're talking here about the New York Times article and aggregating it in a sense and kind of giving you my spin on it. So this guy was pretty nasty, and he's so bitter, and you can tell that he's a little bit maybe out of touch of what's going on in the real world. And he's apparently, this gentleman's status is the 50th most powerful person in the world. And I guess he's the editing manager at the New York Times. And he thinks it's absurd since he just runs a newspaper. Well, the New York Times is pretty influential no matter how their slant is on the content. But he just goes on this rant then about Huffington Post. So Huffington Post, Ariana Huffington has replied, and she didn't seem to pull too many punches in her reply. So it's a good piece to look at. Love to hear you guys' feedback on it. You guys feel that that we're just pirates out here? And I don't think we are. We give attribution, and we link back to original articles, and we're just sharing opinions. I guess, this is just we're talking here. We're basically talking story about tech news and information. Are they doing it? Sure. If you want to consume their content, you can go over there and consume it directly from them. But you guys listen to me. So anyway, that's it on that. I'll move on here. Instapaper 3.0 is out. This is an app I have not tried yet. I need to get in here and give this a try. how many of you are using Instapaper? Can someone, I get linked to by different people's Instapaper accounts from time to time. But apparently now with Instapaper 3.0, you can now follow other users, which is kind of cool because I know that a couple of people here that I read on a regular basis in Honolulu do Instapaper websites, but haven't ever played with this. Any of you doing an Instapaper? If you are, write about Geek News Central, link me back and let me know, and I'll talk about your Instapaper on the show. And I'd like to hear your guys' feedback on it too at geeknews@gmail.com. All right, we've got some vision impaired folks that listen to the show. Of course, I love you guys as audience members, and thanks for basically tuning in. There's a new iPhone app that helps blind identify currency, and I know this has been a challenge because there's no difference between the size and shapes of a $1 or $100 bill. And many of you set up systems. You have someone that is can see the bills and you either fold them a certain way, but they've got a new app out. You just point your iPhone at it, take a picture of it, and it tells you the denomination. So this is pretty cool. This may save you from giving the wrong size bill or making sure that you're getting the right amount of change from that cash register vendor when you're out there. Now the question I have is for our vision impaired folks: are you guys just mostly using your credit card now? Do you guys use a debit card, or do you guys use a Visa card to do your, most of your business? I would think you would, wouldn't you? Isn't it much safer? That way you don't have to worry about someone ripping you off, and you would hate to think someone would do that, but I'm sure it has happened. But there is a ruling that was held up by a federal appellate court that under the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the Treasury Department is now they must change the currency to make it more accessible to the visually impaired. In Japan, the yen notes have little dots on them, and the dots are a certain way, and you can feel the side of the yen note, and you can tell the valuation of the note just by touching it. I don't know why we haven't done that here. It seems pretty ridiculous. It does, but the Japanese have had it for years and years. I mean, I remember back 25 years ago, the Japanese yen was like that. So I don't know why it's taken so long here. Okay, I'm going to show you something very, very cool. And this is on my my wish list. It's $85.95. But what it is, it's a mini rover. It's a 1/18th scale replica of the Mars exploration rover. I have to have one of these. I don't buy too many of these types of items. The last thing I bought was my GoDaddy car, which is back on the shelf behind me. But this is a replica of the Mars exploration rover, and I gotta have one. $85, but how cool is that? I'm telling you, very, very cool. Now I don't know if it comes with the base. If it just comes with the rover only, but it's die cast, and it's 5.25 inches wide, 3.5 inches tall, so pretty big. And I'm gonna have to get one of these. I'm gonna have to kind of, honey, can I have one of these, please? And make sure that she won't flip out when it arrives. But I'm getting more. Oh my goodness! The Japanese have upgraded their earthquake to 8.8. Oh boy! It says someone just got hit with a 17.5-foot tidal wave. This is crazy. Crazy stuff. The thing is, I have my phone set up, and I have not gotten a buzz yet from, oh, yep, we just got it. I just got the notice from the Tsunami Warning Center here in Honolulu. We're under, looks like a warning. We're on a tsunami warning or watch. That's I'm not surprised. I have it set on my phone so that I get the information. We live up high, so it's not a danger for us. But I have friends that live within tsunami inundation zones. That's what they call it here. So wow, this is big. It's the second time, so we'll keep you advised here of this, where we're at in the. I have to get on the. Those of you that are in chat, keep me up to date here, okay, so that I can follow this as I'm doing the show. Um, Tonight, I'm supposed to also, after the show tonight, if you guys want to hang around, I'm supposed to do a segment with Jeffrey Powers on OTT, Over the Top TV. If you guys want to hang out after the show, those of you who are live, I'm going to be appearing with him for a little while to do an OTT segment. Don't know how long that's going to take, but we're going to get into it right after the show. New TV and social media trend among youth. Young Britons have taken to a new television and social media trend. We've talked about this here in the show. You've already heard about this. But specialist digital marketing agency Digital Clarity published a survey where they're finding out that the 8 out of 10 respondents said that they're watching TV with their laptop on their lap. I told you guys. You guys already knew this. You're already doing it. So this is how the young generation, and many of us, I feel, that are older, are doing it. So 8 out of 10 young Britons are watching TV with a laptop on their lap. They're consuming this content, consuming my show by having it on their TV, on their Roku or Boxy or whatever device that they may have, and then they're doing something on their laptop at the same time. Many of you consume the show here the same way. Hey, Google announced today that you can hide sites when you are logged into Google and you're doing searches. There's going to be a new little button that's going to pop up. It says, hide this site, block all of geeknewscentral.com results. Now, we hope you don't do that. But if you find some search result that's not good that you make on a regular basis, you can block the sites that you don't need to look at. In other words, you click in one, you're like, oh, man, that's no good. Let me come back. All right. I'm going to show you the coolest CFL light I have seen so far. And you're going to have to have one of these. Yes, it is a brain. For those of you that are listening to the show, you got to go check this out. The CFL light bulb is in the shape of a brain. I don't know what it's made by a company called Solo Yov Design, and very cool stuff. I don't know what the price on these are. It is not no price tag on it yet, but if you want a cool CFL, Solo Yov Designs, it's a brain CFL light. Very cool stuff. Also, you know, all of a sudden, I mean, I'm here, I'm thinking I want some other stuff. And check this out. Have you ever watched your own figurine? You know, when you used to go to the store and you could buy, you know, you'd find the Elvis figurine, or you'd find the, I remember when I was a kid, I bought an Evel Knievel figurine. You know, only the rich and famous people have been able to have a cool figurine made. But now you can have your own customized figurine for $74.90. Don't tell me that you don't want one of these. Now, what I'll probably do is I'll probably order one for my wife too, even so she'll kind of say, oh my gosh, why did you buy that? But you got a number of outfits. You upload 2 pictures and your comments, and then they go through and design it, and the artist sends you his design, and they ship it to you. $74.90. You got to have one of these. And I just think it's too cool. So I'll let you know. I'm going to definitely get one of these, and I'll let you know how the process goes. But anyway, this is available at Sculpt, SCULPTEO.com. All right, over on Doug Kay's website, he's talking about tracking the cost of disk storage, and I have to laugh about this. In 1981, the price per gigabyte was $300,000. In 1987, it was $50,000 for a gigabyte. About the time I came on the scene and started buying big drives, it was about $1,000 a gigabyte, and that was about 1994 timeframe. That's about right, because I started buying 1 gig drives. As a matter of fact, I've got one back here as a paperweight. They were cost me $1,000 each back in 94. Now, you think about that. I got a stick here that's got 8 gigs. You know, this stick right here, a little itty-bitty stick by Verbatim, has got 8 gigs on it. And, you know, I've had, you can buy now, you can get the cost of a gig on a hard drive is like 10 cents right now. So it shows you how the price of storage is just, well, it took how many years? took 30 years to go from $300,000 a gig to 10 cents. Pretty cool. All right. Have you heard about this super moon? Say, oh, the moon on 19th, March 19th, you got to go outside. You have to watch the moon. The moon is going to be big in the sky. It's going to be the closest approach in like 17 years. You have to look at it. Okay. Now that I over exaggerated, it's only going to be about 5,000 miles closer. Now, if you know your math here, the moon will pass by the Earth on the 19th at 221,567 miles away. The average distance is 226,425 miles. So you think the moon's going to be bigger by that 5,000 feet closer? Do you think we're going to, what's going to happen? Of course, with all these earthquakes, all the doomsayers, it's because the moon was closer. It's closer. That's what's causing it. Now, something that's even cooler, it's happened out in space. And this is something that the scientists have been able to get a capture of. A runaway star has created a shockwave. This is amazing. A supergiant star is, it kind of looks like in this picture that it's wearing a red cape. But if you see the bright star that's to the red of this picture, and for those of you that are listening to the show, instead of watching the show, you'll want to come over and look at the show notes. I'll have runaway stars, the link in the show notes. But they're saying that this star is zooming along at somewhere between 680 and 4,200 kilometers per second. That's between 1.5 and 9.4 million miles per hour. The speed of the star is so fast that a huge bow shock wave is being created as the star moves through space. And if you look at this, you can see the shock wave that's out in front of the star as it's moving. It's incredible. This is incredible. Now, what they got this picture from was from the WISE satellite or spacecraft. And this is unlike anything that they've ever seen before. This is pretty crazy stuff. But you guys look at this. Now, what would cause... First of all, I'm not don't claim to be any expert on space stuff. Matter of fact, quite the opposite. These types of articles fascinate me. How does a star just kind of like, our sun's moving. It's moving in an orbit. So is this thing moving in an orbit, or is it heading outbound somewhere? Is it like a runaway? It is. Or they're saying it's a runaway, so that means it's not captured in any orbit. That's kind of scary, isn't it? It's like you're looking down the shotgun barrel of this thing coming at you. Oh, wow. Anyway, it's between. Don't have to worry. It's between. They've got a great estimate here, between 1,600 and 6,900 light years away. So why can't they get figured out how much closer it is? Out here in Hawaii, we noticed today that there was a time during the daytime when we were having communication problems with the mainland. Massive X1.5 flare took place and is causing some communication issues here. But here's a picture of the flare. This is done by the NASA Solar Dynamics Observatory. This is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool image, and you can see that bad boy. He's pointing right at us, and boom. So anyway, 1.5 was the class on this, but pretty exciting stuff that we're getting. These great, it's just simply amazing images from the sun. Lots more space news as well. They're saying, of course, we're having this movie start tomorrow from what is it? Something Los Angeles, and I'm gonna go see it. It's definitely an alien attack thing where we're getting attacked by aliens. They're saying that if aliens ever attack Earth, it will likely be by robots. This is a good article that's done in space.com. So I don't know about this, but anyway, that's what they're saying. They predict that if we're ever invaded by aliens, it will be robots and not something that has flesh or a skin to it. Here's very cool. I think this is the coolest story of the night. Voyager's out there, and it's into the heliosphere. And the NASA spacecraft, obviously launched in 1977, has been heading outbound for a long time. And what they did was, for the first time since 1990, they issued a command for the spacecraft to roll. And the reason that they did this was they're trying to determine, there's a mystery. The Voyager spacecraft has been going through the helios sheath, and it's the outer bubble around the solar system, and it's created by solar wind. And of course, the solar wind is a stream of charged particles blowing outward from the sun at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And since for a couple of years now, they've had this low energy charged particle instrument that has been basically showing the net outward flow of the solar wind was zero. So what they feel is, they know that as they get into this heliosphere, that the solar wind will bow, and they are turning the aircraft, or the spacecraft, turning the spacecraft now, and they're going to do this over the next couple of weeks, and they've got enough fuel to do this a lot. They've got like 60 pounds of propellant still on, and it only costs them like like a couple of grams of propellant to do this. But anyway, they're going to turn the spacecraft to a location. They're going to hold that position, and then they're hopefully to let this instrument see if it can pick up the shift in the solar wind. And they're going to do this 4 or 5 times, and they're going to leave the spacecraft turn for 4 or 5 hours, and they're going to readjust it. So really what's happening when they do that is the antennas have to turn to get pointed back towards Earth, and has to relock onto the star. So this is pretty cool that Voyager is basically blasting away, and it's still taking commands. And they just, they said, oh, hey, let's turn this thing. Pretty exciting stuff. Even think about it. This thing is still collecting science. These spacecraft have given us more bang for the buck than really any spacecraft out there. They really have, if you think about the science that's been returned. Well, the scientists are worried about that asteroid that's out there, that they've had some concern about doing its close approach to Earth in 2029. They're retracking it now. The Hawaii Observatory captured some stuff as the asteroid came out from behind the sun, and they were able to get some more tracking data on this. And they're worried about when this thing comes by Earth in 2029, that the Earth's gravity is going to pull its orbit in, and it may set us up for a collision in 2036. So let's see here. That's a few years away, but they're still concerned about this thing, and they're doing some more tracking about it. There's some very good pictures come back from the Messenger probe from Mercury, and if you haven't seen any of the Mercury images, I encourage you to do so. It kind of looks like the moon almost, but not as beat up. I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check that out. Let's move back into the regular tech and get out of science here, and I'm going to be running along as usual. LimeWire is settled with record labels, and but they still have a $1 billion claim against them. So I don't know really what the results of the lawsuit is, but one of the lawsuits has been concluded between EMI, Warner Brothers, Universal, Sony, and several others. There's been no details, except that the court filing which noted that both parties shall each bear its own cost, including attorney fees. So some sort of settlement was reached, and now they're into basically another lawsuit. So they got to get that one underway and get that fixed as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. Any piracy group says police have arrested an elite pirate. I'm going to tell you, they're being pretty hardcore in Sweden. This seems where the action is either Norway or Sweden, where they're arresting folks for all kinds of copyright violations. This guy was a big fish. He was administrating servers containing as many as 7,000 movies, to which over 100 people had access. And they feel that he's probably going to get some prison time over this. There was games and software on there as well. But anyway, they've raided him and took all of his gear. So this guy's probably going to be looking at some time for running some running basically some sites that made available copyrighted material. Now, not only that, but there's been another arrest where this idiot, and this was in Sweden, the Swedish authorities and local anti-piracy outfit Anti-Pirate Brian revealed that a major uploader had basically been uploading over 1,000 movies to peer-to-peer sites. And he's 25 years old, and all the time that he's been doing this, he has done nothing to cover his tracks. He's been using his own ISP with his own name, with his own, he didn't do any type of redirects to, had a static IP. They just basically, pulled his information and went and arrested the guy. So there was a story a couple of years ago about an individual who talked about how he was covering his tracks and using peer-to-peer services. And there was an article titled "How a BitTorrent Tracker Owner Hides from the MPAA/RIAA," and that article took a lot of criticism. But I bet you this guy that is now in jail after having uploaded 1,000 movies on his own IP probably wishes he'd have followed some of those instructions. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. All right. Of course, the iPad 2 comes available tomorrow. And some folks have already got their hands on GarageBand for iPad. They're pretty excited about it. Musicians feel that this is going to be a great tool to use. It's much cheaper than some of the other apps that are out there already. And he feels that the makers of Studio Track, Virtuoso, Piano, Music Studio, and so forth are probably done for, just because that GarageBand has priced the app at $5. And the only thing he says kind of sucks right now, you're going to have to wait until the end of the month to get what's a product called the Podigy Jam. It's a 99 adapter, which runs through the iPad's 30-pin connector. You can plug in your guitar, and then there's a speaker. So we'll see. But anyway, this is over at technologizer.com. I have the link up in the show notes for you. All right, how many of you are into space savings? My wife is an absolute fanatic about it. Anything that she can do to save space, she does. Well, I don't dare let her see this. These are lay flat scissors. And I don't know what these are $24.99, but they lay flat. They're no thicker than, basically the thickness of the blade. And if she saw these, I think she would order them. But because you're not efficient if you're using a regular scissor and it takes up this much storage, right? If something that's because Japanese have small places. Her family has a big house in Okinawa, so it's not like it's a traditional Japanese home where every nook and crannies. But she treats everything here like we don't have another inch to spare. That's why when people have packed our houses out before and we've moved, they're like, "How did all that stuff come out of your house? Where did you put it all?" Because there isn't any airspace in anything in any closet. I can tell you that. I'm going to take a picture of it sometime. No, she won't. She'd kill me if I did that. But she's, so, and it goes even down to the way certain clothes are folded. They have to fit perfect. A little compulsive obsessive, but it's okay. I love her just the same. Okay, if you are into determining whether or not you're doing, you're sleeping right, or you want to make sure you've got the right amount of sleep, there is a new alarm clock, and it's for those of you that are trying to, let me paste and go here. What did I do? All right, let me let this load. What this does is these are a sleep phase alarm clock. And basically, the alarm clock doesn't go off until you have gotten enough sleep. Now, how this works, I have no idea. I don't know if there's something attached to you or whatever. Oh, you do. Okay, here it is. You have to wear a special wristband. I'm going to tell you what. If I had one of these clocks, the first time I would use it, it would probably try to make me sleep for like 18 hours. I never get enough sleep. It's just, we all do. We're all sleep deprived in this country. And someone that getting one of these clocks, you have way too much time on your hands. And it's only $275, okay? So it's not like it's this real inexpensive thing. Now, one thing that did kind of catch my eye, but I'm not going to buy one of these. It's called the Bite Spotter. It's a hard drive for connoisseurs. It has a clear cover. You can see inside. You can see it spinning. You can, it's doing all kinds of cool stuff. It costs you $484 for 1 terabyte of storage. But the drive works, but you get to see a nice, sexy cover, and you can have your own logo put on it and so forth. But that's one of the gizmos that are out there and available. And anyway, I didn't. Did I bring that up on the page? No, I didn't. So anyway, it's called Bite Spotter, and then you're only $500. So this is one of those items you're like, if you got that kind of money to waste, why didn't you talk to me, or become an insider? Better yet, right? Okay, so let's move on. Next topic. All right, let's just. I know you guys don't want to hear it. No one's complained yet, luckily, but let's talk about Charlie Sheen for a second. And irregardless of his issues, this the sponsor tweet that he did, that he apparently got paid six figures for, resulted in 95,330 clicks, reached 181 countries. There were 74,000 applications put in for his intern. I guess it was at interns.com. And he's been doing a bunch of other stuff too. He's been doing some tweets for some other companies, a poster company, and so forth. But he's making significant money on these deals just by his celebrity status. And so I'm thinking, if he got paid six figures to do this, and he got 95,000 tweets, they paid, let's say it was $100,000, they paid about $1 a click. That's some serious. That's a very, very high click-through cost. But very interesting to see what has developed there with that. And this has just got a good write-up on how this works. He's the way he is, we may end up getting some positive movement in the new media space based upon the result he's been able to deliver. Now, obviously, this show, if I told you to go over to interns.com, you guys, we would never, if we got 95,000 clicks, I would probably fall over with a coronary. 9,500, maybe, but 95,000, that would mean more than half of the audience would have to click through. So, and you just never get that many kind of click rates. But if you think about it, he's got 2.5 million followers. So 2.5 million people, some of them have seen it sooner than later. That's a pretty good percentage on a click-through rate. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, information on Charlie Sheen's Corner. How many of you are happy to see the Major League Baseball and NBA coming to the Apple TV? So if you want to get your season pass or whatever it is that Major League Baseball offers, you can do that now with the from Apple TV. And live feeds from broadcast TV networks start for around $30 a month. And that price is definitely going to be undercutting most existing cable packages. But I don't watch sports, so for me, it's not a big deal. Get that NASCAR app on there. That might make me think about it. But lots of stuff going on the pay-per-view side of these OTT stuff. So pretty exciting. I'm excited about that a lot. How many of you have watched some of this brand? Some of you watch the Old Spice guy, right? Pretty good set of videos that were basically branded entertainment. And there's been a lot of money being spent in this realm. This year, they expect to have about $5.5 billion spent on branded entertainment. In other words, folks from either from the iPhone or from whatever company are going to be doing, stuff that they're going to be promoting and trying to make go viral. So anyway, we'll keep our eye on that, see where that goes. But there's a pretty good write-up on GigaOM on this, on some myths about this, about things that they're doing right, things that they're doing wrong. Anyway, link will be up in the show notes for you. Okay, I want to call your attention to a couple of articles over on Geek News Central, of course. And this is a good article by Andrew. He actually wrote up a comparison about the price of DDR RAM and how the price of RAM is dropped just over a single year. And one thing that he links in here was talking about June 2010, 2 gigs were 37 pounds. And of course, Andrew's in the UK, so he's putting this up in pounds. In February 2011, 4 gigs were 31 pounds. So, the price of DDR3 RAM dropped just about 50% as compared to the AMD Athlon 2, which is the processor, of course. The dual core was 57 pounds in June of 2010. February of 2011, the dual core or the quad core was 63 pounds. So it shows you that we're continuing to see a great price drop across the board on components that are going into PCs and memory and so forth. Alan Buckingham is one of our writers too, and he put up a good article on an interactive New Zealand earthquake map. And this is a map of Christchurch showing the essential services and flicker photos of the streets and the damages and where people can get water and save. Basically, this is to help people find different things. So this is a pretty cool map and pictures and interact. I was playing around with it for a while. You'll definitely want to check this out, but it's an incident map, and I like to see how this technology is being used down in Australia. Down in New Zealand. So very cool. I have that link up for you. All right, what is the worst possible accident that could happen with a tractor trailer? Well, probably a tractor trailer carrying some sort of nuclear fuel or something would be bad, or toxic waste, or there's all kinds of things that semis are carrying these days. Of course, Trucker Tom would probably share with us some of the crazy stuff that he's had to haul over the years. But what about a truck that's carrying ink and it has a massive wreck? Well, an overturned ink-carrying tractor trailer basically blew blue, green, yellow, orange, red ink everywhere. And you don't have to worry. This part of town will be painted for years to come. And I would not want to have to drive my vehicle through this area anytime soon, because as soon as it rains, it's going to pick that up. And you're going to get that speckling effect. So, yeah, blue ink everywhere. Link will be up in the show notes. You can see this picture. It's pretty good. It looks, it looks like truck had ink in it. Now, I should have mentioned this earlier. The Clear CEO, Bill Morrow, has resigned today, so he walked away. And of course, this is the same day this lawsuit started. Maybe the pressure's on. Maybe there's too much heat in the kitchen. He had to get out. So he bounced. It doesn't bode well for Clear at all. Hey, the FCC has announced that if you know about a company or a service that is running those jammers, so we talked about those cell phone jammers where the prison systems want to use on the last show, but the FCC has had enough with them and say that they are going after GPS and cell jammers in businesses and in restaurants and so forth, and that it's illegal, and they are going to come down hard. If you call the FCC or leave a complaint, they will check it out. Do you know of any place you go to that's got a cell phone jammer? Now, if they started offering rewards, that would probably cause some movement. Of course, Discovery landed this week. Congratulations to Discovery. It's 365 days in space, clocking the most amount of miles. And of course, it did 39 missions, contributing to the completion of the International Space Station. NASA says the space station's done. They're obviously going to be carrying parts up on the next couple of flights. Endeavour, of course, is being taken to the pad today. Going to do a parts run. But anyway, NASA says the International Space Station is now essentially complete. And they've got a couple of things to bring up, some expensive test gear, a $1.5 billion experiment called the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer. That's due to go up on one of the flights. But taxpayer dollars at work, International Space Consortium, of course, and it's nice to see the ISS done. And but the question is, will we keep it for another 20 years, or how long do you think we'll be up there? What do you guys think? Think how long we'll be supporting the ISS? The initial mission was supposed to end in like 3 years. They've already extended it out to, I think, 2020. But how long do you think we'll support the ISS? That's the question. We spent all this money to get this thing up there, billions of dollars. I can't imagine it being brought down. It'd be a crying shame. It really would. But anyway, we'll see how many years this thing lasts. Of course, space is a tough environment, and it's very expensive to support. Hey, Sony's working on a Cybershot camera with 3G cellular connectivity. So this is kind of cool. We've talked about Wi-Fi cameras. Now Sony's working on a 3G camera, a camera with 3G connectivity. That's awesome. We've talked about this in the past, how I want basically a camera to be able to call home. Of course, everyone's using their phones, but still, sometimes a good old point and shoot works better and takes a better picture than a cell phone does. Hey, over on Dvorak Uncensored, there's a video about the invention of Control-Alt-Delete. And this is a video that was done way back, and I don't know how Dvorak found this, but you ought to see a very young Bill Gates grit his teeth by David Bradley talking about how the Control-Alt-Delete was actually developed. The picture on, the look on Bill Gates's face is classic. You can tell he's pissed. You have to watch this video. It's a great one. It truly is. Another article about potential gasoline replacement directly tied to cellulose from grass and different types of things. There's been some advancements made by a university being able to break the starches down and convert them into fuels in a one-step process where before there was like 5 steps. So a potential fuel source there. They work hard enough, they're going to figure this out. They really, really will. Those of you that are geeks that play with VMware, there's a VMware View app on the iPad now, so you can get that. That's available to be downloaded. I'll have the link up in the show notes for you that. Those of you that are Android users, if you're a Winamp fan, there's a Winamp music player that's available now. Nullsoft released the 1.0 to the Android today. It's free to download. So check that out for those of you that are Android users. And if any of you are on iOS 4.3 and you're having trouble syncing, it's generally your pictures, okay? Lots of people reporting problems with syncing with the iOS 4.3 upgrade. So make sure that what you have to do is you have to delete or set sync off for your pictures, go through one sync cycle, then do sync back on, turn your pictures back on, and usually you'll be able to get through a entire sync process with your iPad or your iPhone. I guess the last article of the night is if you've went out and bought the Motorola Zoom and you've been willing to jailbreak it, there is a way now to get some extra memory to it by going through a basic little extension cord you put on it and attach a USB to it. So they have some hack on how to do that over at AndroidCentral.com. Okay, boy, we're talking about another tsunami hit in Sendai. Horrible. I'm sure this is going to be all over the news. Let me go ahead and get into the emails, see what we've got tonight. We got no voicemail comments. So 619-342-7365 is the place to call. 619-342-7365. Of course, geeknews@gmail.com is the email address for the show. I got an email here from Joe. He said, "Hey, Todd, I stopped going to a national chain restaurant because of bad service. I started with boycotting the local restaurant. Then a second incident made it nationwide for me. The short version is that I went to lunch at a local place, and the counter attendant just walked away after taking one person's order with a line at least 8 deep. When I inquired why, I got some half-baked story about the system crashing. It took them too many orders. If they took too many orders, that means they weren't fast. They had too much of a backup. That's for sure, wasn't it, Joe?" Anyway, he says, "Then in a completely different state, I spent 20 minutes trapped in the drive-thru with nobody even saying welcome. When I drove up to the window and honked my horn, the people inside just stood there and stared at me. When I went in and spoke to the manager, she told me most of the employees did not speak English. She never apologized or asked me if I still wanted to order something." He says, "That's why I don't go to Taco Bell anymore." For the full story, see, and I'll have this link up in the show notes. So hey, Joe, stand by your principles. I love it. Got an email here from Jim. He says, "Hey, Todd, check this out. This is a New York photo post. This is a picture of the space shuttle as it's departing the International Space Station. This is a very cool picture. I'll have this link up in the show, or the link to this. Is there a link to this, Jim? Yeah, there is. I'll have this. He says he actually got this from the New York Post Pix iPad app from the App Store. Oh, he actually sent this photo from that. Oh, crap. So I'm not going to be able to... Well, anyway, I don't know how I'm going to put this up in the show notes. I got an email here from Frank. He says, Todd, if I have to use Facebook account to make a comment to a blog or news site, I simply will not make a comment. Number one, I don't care to have everything I do online tracked by Facebook and sold to the highest bidder. Two, Facebook's constant tinkering with making their privacy settings opaque and confusing while defaulting to tell/sell everybody everything just about plucked my last nerve. As regards to the agriculture scanners at Honolulu, remember the Mediterranean fruit flies, that sort of situation why agriculture scans are required. It is good that they have little to do, but it would be bad if you weren't there doing it, because people try to smuggle raw fruit and other food stuff every day, often the most innocent motives. Back when I worked in the complaint department for the railroads in the 70s, we had a lady submit a baggage claim because she had checked a site of pork and baggage car in Florida in the summer and it had spoiled by the time it got to New York 28 hours later. He says, it's like firefighters. We should be happy that they're there and hope they don't have to do what they're supposed to do. I agree on this, Frank. And I tell you one thing about the fruit situation here in Hawaii. When you're flying into Honolulu, they ask you, got any fruit, anything? We got this amnesty bin. You can put stuff in. They got little dogs running around, sniffing your bags to make sure you don't have any fruit or vegetables on board. But you know what? They don't check that close. It would really, obviously, I don't want to see stuff coming into Hawaii because we've got a very, the ecosphere here is very, things can really damage it very easily. And, but they don't really check close. They really don't. Maybe they do back in the baggage area. I don't know. But they definitely don't. On the outbound stuff, they don't scan. They don't seem to be paying too much attention to it, but they do. Nancy says Verizon launches 100 gig Ethernet network. She said, hey, 100 gig backbone. Nice. I can't even get 1.5 megs at my house. Links me up at article in her show notes. Last article, I think here. Todd, I thought I'd send this as you're the only American that I know that has kids. And I guess Ayn and Deb are. Where's Ayn and Deb from? I think they're. Boy, I forget. Anyway, he says, Todd, I thought I'd send you this as you're the only one of the only Americans now that has kids. I've always heard that the No Child Left Behind program was a disaster. But this diary literally left me feeling sick to my stomach. My better half, who has a master's in education, also read this. And like me, she was left feeling sick afterwards. The average person, if they stop to think about it, probably thinks that the standardized testing is good. This diary and articles linked in it really show what is going on, and it isn't pretty. So this is an article that was over on the Daily Kos, and it was about a fifth grader. I have this link in the show notes. You guys read this, and I guarantee your eyeballs are going to get a little bigger. I'm going to email here from Tom. Hey, Todd, I found an article regarding electric car sales. Pretty interesting numbers, if true. And this is from Tom out of Nampa, Idaho. Thanks, Tom, for that. And that's it. That's all for tonight, folks. That's all the content I've got for you. And just a little long, but thanks for being with me here. I appreciate it. And again, comments to the show, geeknews@gmail.com. Call the voicemail hotline and blast me or yell at me or praise me or whatever you want to do, or feed me content. 619-342-7365. And I've got a couple emails from some folks from the show that I actually need to call back. And I got to check on our new guest host, or not new show host, that's going to be starting a show here, and see where he's at with his show. And I got to talk to a couple of people that express interest as well. But we're still rolling forward to rolling out a new gadget show here at Geek News Central. Look forward to being able to introduce that to you very, very soon. And I think episode 1 is being recorded, and hopefully it's in the can, and we'll be able to get that to you. But that's it for tonight. We'll see you back here on Monday. Remember, no Saturday show. If I try to sneak something in on Sunday, I'll tweet it. But otherwise, don't get up early and watch, because I won't be here. I'll be watching basketball and watch my 7-year-old shoot some hoops. So until next time, everyone, take care and aloha.